Did you guys know that just like in Remake, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth's Hard Mode does not let you restore MP or use items? But in actuality, if you use a Chocobo bench that requires a cheap cushion which you could buy and find anywhere in the world, it will restore your HP and MP to full, making Hard Mode significantly more manageable when in the open world using a Chocobo cushion. God bless the devs for this, because that is a great trade-off in my opinion. It makes a whole lot of sense, and it's honestly the reason why I never leave my house without mine. Thank you, Square Enix. We have some builds in this video here for you guys that's going to make you dominate Hard Mode and make running out of MP not even a problem. It is well overdue, but I know many of you guys in the comments have been waiting a long time for this before you start your Hard Mode run, because this game is a lot. There's a lot of things to do in it, in the best possible ways, I mean. But I do want to thank you guys for being patient with me, and here are some foolproof methods to breeze through Hard Mode. These are not mandatory by any means, but it is super worth it. Trust me, it makes the game ridiculously easy and absolutely trivial. Square Enix went so ham with the game mechanics that I don't think it's possible to cover every single build, but don't worry, these ones that we have here are all that you will need and will help you smash through the story on hard. And they're also insanely effective for every single boss that you encounter. Even the VR challenges can use these builds too. They work extremely well there. But those guides are going to be coming later, as I feel like a dedicated one is needed for those challenges and talking you guys through the methods with how to defeat each boss step by step. So comment below which challenge you would like to see next. And hit that subscribe button and notification bell to help raise that 38% even higher. Now let's break Hard Mode. For years, I have been saying it, but the best part about Final Fantasy VII from the original to Remake and now Rebirth is how flexible the Materia system is. It's quite possibly one of the top RPG systems of all time. You can fully use characters in whichever way that you want, however you want. They still didn't really give us a custom loadouts option, but I'm holding out hope for that in part 3. One major example for flexibility for Materia is while Tifa is the big physical damage dealer who can boost stagger percents and ultimately raise the entire team's damage output by doing so, you could also turn her into a mage if you wanted to, and make her more efficient in magic by using materia such as attack and magic attack swap, and also the crystal gloves too, which gives her a respectable high magic attack stat in the game, with the proper materia added on, of course. So she could be a hybrid of raising stagger and dealing big magic damage. This is just one example, but like I said, you could do this with any character. So keep that in mind for all of these builds. Adjust and play however you want, with whoever you want. Feel free to mix and match. And if you want to use Red 13 as your mage, or even Barret, Cait Sith, feel free to do that and swap whatever I'm using onto them too. So the undisputed best build right now completely bypasses running out of MP in Hard Mode. I'm going to start with Aerith because she's even crazier in Rebirth and will literally carry you through Hard Mode's story and challenges. In my early guides for this game, people were saying that Aerith was pretty bad compared to how she was in Remake. No, not at all. She's still the best character in the game. This build here will be ran on your 2 magic dealers, so Aerith and another character. And your 3rd character is basically going to be streamlining this whole thing even further, which we will talk about in a few. Aerith is actually running the Plumose rod for the highest magic attack stat, basically the mithril rod of this game. Her 4 additional weapon skills on this weapon are kind of disappointing. No idea why they have Not So Fleeting Familiar on here 3 times, but the best thing to do is to maximize 2 Not So Fleeting Familiar, so when you hold square to launch a Tempest, the Familiar lingers for 50% longer in battle, further maximizing the damage the most out of everything here. Ward Shift Mastery to teleport you to the wards more often, and Enduring Ward so that the wards will last even longer in battle. The other weapons do give stuff like 10% more elemental damage, but the overall damage with this one is undoubtedly the best way to go. And you could also in her skill tree unlock the 10% spell damage attribute when she's at full MP. It boosts this even further because you will always be at full MP when using this build with Aerith. She has a Cetran bracer on, which is one of the 2 bangles in this game that gives 8 materia slots. You can get this in chapter 13 of the Temple of the Ancients. The other is the Cetran armlet, which has slightly lower defense, but you can pick and choose whichever one you want. Now for accessories, I'm a firm believer that Aerith should be using either the Chokoking armlet or the Genji gloves. Chokoking armlet gives 1 ATB to start off every single battle, and if you have a first strike materia on her as well as an ATB boost, this allows her to set up an arcane ward and then ATB boost to rain down August spells immediately. You can't go wrong with swapping this out for Genji gloves either, I'm saying, because that actually allows you to break the damage limit of 9,999, so you can hit as high as 99,999 with Aerith. She makes the best use of this in my opinion, but we're going to get more into this later. I cannot stress this enough. Please, for the love of God, put auto-unique ability materia on Aerith. This will solve every single one of your problems with how the computer controls her, and she will also become godlike at evading. This makes it so that you never have to switch her out or have to control her once your wards are out. If you have an arcane ward across the map and she uses a spell, or you command her to use a spell, she will automatically teleport to that arcane ward and use the spell. Even if there is an ATB ward on the map as well as an arcane ward, she will prioritize the arcane ward. Please never remove this off of her. Trust me on this. Your two main magic dealers are going to be running Magnify, MP Absorb, Magic Focus, all paired to the same magic damage materia, whichever element you want to cast on the enemy. That applies to the situation or the weakness, which, you know, throughout FF7 Rebirth, you constantly have to do. Swapping elements and materia is a major part of the game. Swift cast materia works as well too if you have the space. I typically use it on longer cast time magic like BltzZ or XIII. And additionally, magic up, ATB boost, first strike. Those are the general base that you're going to aim for with this method. And then after, you can fill in the empty slots with stuff like elemental materia. Pairing a maxed out elemental materia to your armor slot with an element will heal you when hit by that same element from the enemies that are casting it. So against Phoenix, for example, if you have fire paired to elemental materia, this is a godsend. Phoenix will never be able to damage you. You could also throw on a healing materia, revive, HP up, whatever you want, chakra, prayer, go crazy. Remember, MP doesn't matter that much with this build. You'll constantly be at full MP and building it up in each battle, and also Chocobo Benches gives you back MP, so you can heal at will if you wanted to. This all works now thanks to the increased materia slots in Rebirth, so I hope we get even more in part 3 now that I think about it. In Remake, you could partially do this build, but unfortunately you couldn't take advantage of it easily since you only had 10 materia slots to work with. But now in Rebirth, since you can have a max of 14 slots, yes, that extra 4 does make a huge difference because a lot of purple materia now are passives and baked into characters' kit and gameplay. You don't have to worry about that taking up space, and you get a lot more space in turn from it. The combination materials like fire and ice or thunder and wind, in my opinion, are best to be used on MP Absorb. So this way you can restore MP with either one of them in a battle. Keep that in mind as it will save you if you forget to swap before a fight. You could always retry the fight and change that up before you go back in. Now with the Chokoking cape, you automatically start with 1 full ATB. Pairing this with the first strike will net you 2 full bars. If you're running this on Aerith, you're going to want to throw down an arcane ward to start out the fight, ATB boost to get full 2 ATB again, and then you can use an Aga or an Aura spell, Magnify, to hit all the enemies. The MP regain on this is ridiculous, regardless of if you use a Aura or an Aga spell. Aerith and everyone else using MP Absorb with this build will never run out of MP in hard mode. And remember, being at full MP again gives her a bonus 10% damage on attack spells. Now, if you're running Genji gloves on her, while hitting a weakness or an enemy in Stagger, you can see her regularly breaking the damage limit, ending fights crazy early. Now, you can get the Genji gloves in hard mode via chapter select after doing Gilgamesh Island on either easy or dynamic for your first run. There's a lot of materials required for it though, so I'm not going to break it all down, but after you beat hard mode, you can go directly and farm those materials by fast traveling to the world boss intels that you've already unlocked in the previous difficulty. You can do this immediately on your chapter select hard mode run. Just load up chapter 13 since you have the tiny Bronco there, and you could just knock them out. With the Genji gloves on Aerith, I prefer to use Aura spells against mobs over Aga spells to save ATB. So this way you can cast them twice and also build up a lot more MP. And if the enemy is staggered and weak to an element, she will be hitting over 9,999 still. A new introduction to Rebirth is the Magic Focus materia, which makes Magnify even better. Magic Focus at its highest level will boost the paired attack spell damage by 25%, and you could technically bypass the negative 25% you get from using a magnified spell by using this to deal full damage. There's 2 of them in the game, which can stack on each other for even more damage. I take advantage of this as much as you can. At first, I was sad to see Magic Up only had 1 materia in the game, but Magic Focus is honestly the reason for this. In Remake, I didn't use Magnify too much due to the 25% damage reduction, but this significantly works better in Rebirth with Magic Focus, and being able to take advantage of a full MP Absorb build makes this a no-brainer. And Magic Up, you can honestly slap that onto her as well, because, man, damage, I'm telling you. Genji gloves, Aerith, Magic Up, Magic Focus, throw all that on her. You're going to be seeing an insane amount of damage being exhibited quite often. That build is perfect and works extremely well on anyone, anywhere, in any situation. I know I mostly use Aerith for the examples, but you can do it on whichever character that you prefer, and you can run it on 2 characters simultaneously. But the 3 characters that do benefit the most from it are Aerith, Cloud, and Tifa's magic build. Especially Cloud, because he can run the mirrored same build as Aerith, due to there being 2 of each blue materia mentioned, except for Swift Cast. Basically, if I'm running Chokoking Armlet on Aerith to set the party up and field for big damage, then I'm going to be running the Genji gloves on Cloud and mirroring the similar build that we have with Aerith, or vice versa. Genji gloves on Aerith and Chokoking on Cloud. Due to his high magic attack stat, he benefits greatly from this and is well-rounded for every single playstyle. Cloud by far is the most used character in the game. Magic damage is always going to be the best direction because of how much damage you can get going with Aerith setups. So you can run the same damage build with Cloud because there are enough materia duplicates for him to use. On Cloud, I have the Rune Blade for the highest magic attack stats while running full power magic's weapon skill for bonus damage. This allows Cloud to constantly deal 10% more damage at full MP. Magic attack power plus 20, ATB charge rate up, and attack power plus 20. He has a Cetran Armlet, which gives him 8 materia slots, and Cloud is running magic focus, Magnify, MP absorb, and swift cast materia, all paired to the same element, which you should switch out depending on the situation. First strike materia if he does have Genji gloves on, but if he's rocking the Chokoking Armlet, you can remove first strike and save it for the 3rd character. And then you can throw on HP up, healing materia, or revive if you need to. Trust me, Aerith is just going to be placing the Arcane Ward down, and we're going to be having Cloud cast his big Aga spells and then stagger them both continuously throughout fights. Elemental materia also works great for absorbing damage on the armor slot. There are 3 of them in the game, as well as 3 Magnify materia. Take full advantage of these guys. These materia are godlike, and you need to have these maxed out. If I'm running this on Tifa and no Cloud is in the party, we're going to be having her use the Crystal Gloves, Cetran Armlet, and the Fury Ring for big damage, or the Chokoking Armlet. She has on Magnify materia, MP absorb materia, magic focus materia, and swift cast, all paired to your desired spell damage element. And if you have room, Synergy materia, of course, is great, but I almost always prefer for that to be on Aerith because her level 1 magic spells that she's going to be auto-casting with Synergy are almost always stronger than everybody else's. And she will always be on her Arcane Ward now thanks to the auto-unique ability materia. But here's the kicker. We have magic attack swap on Tifa, which makes any stat that you add to her physical damage get put towards her magical damage. She has strength up materia, which will boost the magic. She has enemy skill materia, which will boost magic and strength. And her weapon skills are 2 magic attack power 20s, enhanced techniques for bonus damage on abilities, and a magic attack 20. We currently have her at 456, which is pretty good for someone who's just mostly going to be boosting staggering and then inflict magic damage alongside the other teammates. Her Unfettered Fury ability is also magic damage focused, so this gets a huge plus as well. Okay guys, get ready. Here is the broken stuff that further enhances the earlier 2 builds mentioned, whether you're running Aerith, Cloud, Tifa, or whoever else you decide to go with. And quite frankly, you don't need to do anything else while this exists. In FF7 Remake, Tifa was the most valuable character in the game because she could easily refund and distribute ATB to teammates so they could infinitely cast magic and stun lock enemies with Aga spells. However, in Rebirth, Aga spells have been nerfed to needing 2 ATBs cast. And then they also removed the refunding capabilities of Tifa. I was big sad. Until the community discovered that Yuffie, as everybody theorized, is an absolute menace. Straight up, she is the MVP of Rebirth, undisputed, and can hilariously cheese the hardest challenges while taking on the ATB refunding duties of Tifa, but catapulting it to even higher heights. I present to you the cheesiest build in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Yuffie and ATB Ward is unbelievable. This is incredibly easy to use and pull off. So on Yuffie, you're going to be needing the Crescent Sickle weapon, and the weapon skills that you're going to be using with that are attack power 20, opening ATB boost, ATB charge rate up, and Shuriken mastery. We have the Hades armlet paired to her, which gives her 7 materia slots, and the Hermes shoes, which you can get from the Chocobo races at the Gold Saucer, and you have to complete the Titan race in order to get it. Hermes' shoes applies haste to Yuffie at the start of the battle, and yeah, it's pretty much a wrap for enemies after that. On Yuffie, we're going to have ATB boost, First Strike, ATB Assist, Skill Master, Speed Up Materia, everything that we can get to increase our ATB gain and feeding capability. Then we have Magnify paired with Empowerment to magic buff everyone, because Faith buff is ridiculously broken in this game. You could also have Time Materia on her as well to take advantage of stopping enemies in a stagger phase to help Tifa boost the staggers even higher, ultimately dealing more damage. And Elemental Materia, of course, on the armor slot paired with whichever element you need to absorb. Like I said, there are 3 of these in the game, guys. Take advantage of them. Everything else you want to equip to her is completely optional. Now, to complete this strategy, we're going to have Yuffie toss out her shuriken, leaving it hovering on an enemy so it builds ATB for her and her damage. Thanks to Shuriken Mastery, it'll last out longer. Then we have Aerith create an ATB ward underneath Yuffie. And we're going to have to basically spam Brumal Form dodges with Yuffie non-stop while on top of the ATB ward. Doing this is going to build up Cloud and Aerith's ATB rapidly. And if Yuffie dodges an attack, she gains even more ATB. An infinite supply because she's typically the aggro focus for the enemies doing this strategy. As soon as Cloud gets 2 ATB, we're going to be casting a magnified Aga spell with him. And then simultaneously, if Aerith has 1 ATB, we put a Arcane Ward underneath Cloud. And if you have 2 ATB built up with Yuffie, cast Magnify Faith on everyone. It's a quick cast. It doesn't take long to do it. And then you're going to ATB boost with Yuffie to get her back up to 2 ATB. Cloud will be double casting Aga spells. Yuffie will continue to spam Brumal Dodge to build Aerith up. And then Aerith in this situation, we do have Swift Cast paired to her Fire and Ice. She's going to be casting an Aga spell instantly. And as soon as you do that, she's going to teleport to the Arcane Ward thanks to the godlike auto-unique ability Materia. One less thing for you to have to manage. And then you're going to just keep tossing out Aga spells with Cloud and Aerith as Yuffie dodges to build them up. Faith buff will decimate enemies quickly. Do not underestimate it. Faith buff is ridiculously strong in this game. This is without a doubt the strongest build combination for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And you see, it works here in the game's hardest challenge team fight. It also works entirely through the story as well. Congratulations, guys. You've just broken the game. Now, of course, there are some other fun builds like the Limit Siphon build where you have Aerith equipped with the Enhanced Expeditionary Medal, which you can get from crafting, and then you're going to slap on a Limit Siphon on Aerith and have her level 3 Limit Break unlocked in her skill tree. Then you're going to have the Goddamn parry onto another party member, and then you have Aerith absorb their limit. And when she uses her Fury Limit Break, it's going to give the 2 other members their limits immediately. And then you can cast one of them and repeat the siphon with Aerith endlessly. They absolutely heard our complaints about limits not being around that much in Remake. Even without this, you can still get limits very quickly in many stagger ways, but this is just really funny to manipulate and just continuously throw out limits against enemies. Another great Yuffie focus build is that she has Quadracast built into her moveset. I'm using Yuffie, Aerith, and Tifa here. Running Hermes shoes on Yuffie, Genji gloves on Aerith, and Chokoking on Tifa. You start out with Aerith throwing down an Arcane Ward and have Yuffie use Doppelganger to make a clone. And also, you're going to have Synergy equipped to her as well with your preferred magic spell, alongside Magnify too. While in the ward, you're going to be casting a spell with Yuffie, and she alongside her clone will cast that magic 4 times thanks to the Arcane Ward, but technically almost 8 times if you also have Synergy on and proc a teammate ability, or are using Magnify in this combo. Enemies and mobs do not last long enough to survive this. The clone, of course, does less damage for balance, and Arcane Ward lowers the damage as well. But the benefit of this is that when you do an Aga spell, it can stun lock an enemy for a ridiculously long time, allowing you to set up your other teammates accordingly. I cannot stress enough, guys. Level up your materia. Prep time is a major key, and it's a big reason why Batman be whooping everybody's ass. Unlock everything you can on your first playthrough relating to dynamic and normal mode, getting all the possible materia, proto relics, region intel if you want, and use your favorite AP and XP farming methods to speed level things up. Once you unlock chapter select easy mode, and thanks to the triple AP and XP you get from New Game Plus, it'll make story replay and even later on going for VR missions that much easier, guys. I made a video about 2 methods, the Gongaga method and the B method. Long story short, for the B method, you're going to want to go to Chapter 13 with all quests reset, put 2 Enfeeblement Rings on Aerith and Tifa for the B quest, and just have Cloud round up the bees at the last fight, just holding down square over and over again to round up the worker bees so he only hits them. The Queen Bee will stay alive, and then you can farm this for however long it takes, as long as you don't kill the Queen Bee. But if you do, all you got to do is just save, reload, and repeat as needed. I do recommend you guys have at least 10 or 11 green spell damage Materias leveled up so you can minimize how often you're going to be swapping them between teammates. But check out this video I have pinned below to get you started. I have a visual guide on how to do all this because blue Materia does take the longest. Every character present in the party that has Materia on there will get AP, so take full advantage of that. In Chapter 13, Cait Sith will not be in the party, unfortunately, but you could also do this method in Chapter 12 if you don't mind the intro portion with the Tiny Bronco. Use everyone and take advantage of AP up Materia and pair it to Choco Band for 6 times AP gained. You could also get this from completing the Chocobo Sage quest. That was a lot to cover, but I promise you, it is all that you guys will ever need for this game and help many of you secure your platinum runs finally. I am so sorry it took me forever to make this, between moving into a new house, having a whole bunch of content to cover, sponsors as well, while editing it all on my own. It can get a little overwhelming, but I'm happy that we finally have this out and you guys can break this game beyond repair in the most fun way. I still do want to do boss guides, challenge guides, and advanced character guides, so please in the comments below let me know which ones you want to see. I somehow also forgot to talk about summon Materia. While you can use a summon Materia more often in Rebirth, just like in Remake, you actually still have great stats that you can get off of them. So for each character, this is what I think are the preferable ones for them. Depending on the build, of course, you're always going to mix and match them, but I got Odin Materia on Cloud. On Aerith, I prefer to have Phoenix Materia. It's going to give her more magic damage. On Yuffie, we're going to go with Ramu. Barret, we're going to go with Alexander. Alexander is going to benefit defense overall from magic and physical defense. Red 13 is going to have Bahamut Arisen. This is going to help out his overall damage on both aspects. Tifa, we have Gilgamesh Materia on. And finally, Cait Sith, we actually have Chocomog Materia because it is the only one that ups its luck, and he's a very luck-dependent character. Also, if any of you guys in the comments are editors, and you'd like to help out with this stuff, let me know. I could greatly use it. Be sure to like the video if you enjoyed and subscribe if you are new. More Final Fantasy VII Rebirth videos are on the way and you don't want to miss them. My name is BltzZ and thanks for watching.